Jane, thank you very much for joining the Story Club podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
For those who are watching or listening but don't have any idea who you are, could you please give a brief introduction of yourself?
These are always hard. So I guess I'm a graphic designer. Been freelancing for about 2 years now. I started freelancing on LinkedIn, so that kind of catapulted my freelancing career, I guess. Yeah, that's kind of me.
I can't remember. Is there a brand business name behind all the design you do, or is it still just very much personal brand, Jane-led?
It's most just personal brand. I had kind of a name that I was using, Content by Jane, for a bit, but I've completely shifted into just using my name, surname, and kind of doing my own thing, because most of my clients, most of my people come to me because of me and kind of the content I put out and the personality I have. So that kind of, I think, attracts people the most. So I'm just keeping the personal brand instead of having a name.
So before we get into the last 2 years, which is funnily enough going to make up the biggest chunk of everything, because everything that came before we'll probably just skim through, except I guess I'd like to touch on what led you to where things are now, or where it all kind of kicked off 2 years ago. Obviously, COVID is clearly going to play a part, as it did, because if you got into graphic design 2 years ago, that's kind of that changing point for a lot of people who've gone on their own or gone on to do other things.
Yeah.
So, university. Did you study graphic design? No.
I'm full on self-taught. So I fell into a marketing role about, I think it's about 6 years ago now. And I can't remember how, but we somehow discovered that I had a knack for design. And I think it was someone asked me to do like a little presentation or something like that. And it was pretty decent. They're like, oh, you're quite good at this. Do you want to, go on some courses? Do you want to actually learn more about graphic design? We're going to pay for it. So I was like, yeah, why not? It's just an extra, never really thought about it, but it's an extra skill. Why not? And if the business is paying for it. So I think I went on like 10, 15 different courses, like learning how to use Illustrator, Photoshop, some animation, video editor, like all that sort of stuff. And I did it for about 3.5, 4 years for the recruitment agency that I was working for in London. And then obviously COVID happened, and then I realized that I don't want to be employed anymore. When everyone slowed down, I kind of had the time and energy to think about my life, and I realized that I hate my job. I hate being in an office. I don't want to do the whole getting up at 5:30 a.m., getting on a train thing, and it's just not for me. And then I started making moves to move out of it and kind of do my own thing.
Were you like, I'm really into this? Or were you just like, I'm good at it?
I quite enjoyed it. I enjoyed the design side of things. I've always been a bit of a creative. I just haven't been able to find like my right creative output. Like I tried photography when I was younger, and I did loads of other things, and it just, nothing ever really landed. And then with the design, I actually really like this. Like it brings me a lot of joy to even just like creating a brochure or like a candidate, leaflet or whatever it might be that I was doing for the recruitment agency, for the recruiters.
What was it? Was it kind of the process of creating it you think you loved, or seeing this thing from nothing to creating something?
Pretty like all of the process, creating something from nothing and then presenting it and kind of getting the feedback, and they go, oh my God, this is amazing. And then hearing that, the brochure that I designed for them helped them land a client, or, things like that. So the whole thing really, I really enjoyed. And then when COVID happened and we all slowed down, and obviously the work slowed down as well, I realized that I don't actually like the marketing side of things, because it's numbers and it's spreadsheets. And I was just like, this is not me. This is so boring. But I realized that when I do the design bits that I'm doing in the job, I'm really happy and I'm really enjoying it. But as soon as I'm doing the marketing stuff, I'm like, oh, this is boring. I don't want to do this. So that kind of led me to, okay, I enjoy this. Someone's been paying me for like 3-something plus years to do this as a job. Surely I can find enough people who would be willing to pay me to do this on my own as a freelancer.
Was it as clear cut as that? Was it as simple as you being like, these people are paying me to do it, I'm good at it, and you just had the confidence to be like, I could go out and make a living from this?
So I had to work on the confidence. Like that was sort of the logical thought that I went with. I was like, okay, I've been doing this for years. Someone's been paying me full-time salary. Surely I can find enough clients. And then I kind of had to go through some mental blocks and some scarcity mindset stuff and things like that. And
well, so what was that journey? Because I don't want to summarize it as, yeah, I just had to do these two things. Did it take weeks, months? How did you go about that?
So probably took about a year altogether from when I decided, okay, I want to go freelance, into me actually sort of building up the client base and
whilst
the
you were
confidence.
still in the steady job.
Yeah, so I stayed employed. Initially, I gave myself, I think, like 2 or 3 years to build it up. I tried it on Instagram at first. That was complete flop. Spent about 6 months on Instagram.
Why do you think that is? Just because maybe content strategy or reach or messaging, or?
I think it's just so saturated and it's so hot. And I'm more of a storyteller. Like, I like long form content, like on LinkedIn, where you can write your stories and stuff. And I don't think that necessarily translates over to Instagram.
Okay, yeah.
As well. So I think I was just like, Instagram just wasn't my platform. I just couldn't make it work, couldn't hack it. And then I came across people like Leah Turner and a few other sort of LinkedIn people who have gone like, I'm making all this money and I'm making all like, you know, I built this whole business out of just posting on LinkedIn and telling my stories and telling people about my experiences. And I was like, maybe I can do this. Because I only used to use LinkedIn for work. Because obviously the recruitment agency, they had like their own page and everything. So I was on there, but I didn't really do anything for myself. And I thought, well, I'm quite opinionated. Like, I have things to say. Surely I can make this work. And then, I started kind of followed Leah for a while, just to kind of learn and understand how LinkedIn works and all that. And then started posting myself. The first few months, it was really slow, crickets, like 5, 6, maybe 10 likes, which were mostly from my colleagues.
Yeah. Thanks, Mum.
Basically. But I kind of stuck with it because I realized, I kind of thought, you know what, this is probably like a long game and it takes time to build it up. And I spent a lot of hours on LinkedIn just talking to people, commenting, talking to people in DMs, kind of building those relationships.
Well, that's a good understanding to have, right? That was before, because obviously in the last like 6, even 12 months, LinkedIn's blown up, everyone's rushing onto it. But even now, people still expect immediate results, right? They go on, they're posting, they see people, you know, in pods or not, getting 500 likes within 2 minutes. Like, why not me? So they're giving up. What made you keep your skin in the game?
Because I could see it slowly growing. Because I stayed really consistent. So I think I was posting like 5, 6 times a week, like without fail.
Was there a strategy at this point? Were you talking about graphic design? Was it just thoughts as they came to you?
Just thoughts as they came to me, and then I threw in some graphic design stuff.
What were the thoughts that were coming into you?
Oh, so I talked about everything from my struggles with depression to just my journey from one job to another, about just any kind of experience, just whatever came to my mind. I think the most viral post that I ever got was one where I talked about being single for like several years and how I got out of a toxic dating pattern, kind of changed my life and all that. It blew up. I think it had like 100,000 views or something.
Right, okay.
It was one of those that you write on a train into the office that you kind of thought, this probably won't get anything, and it just blew up.
Well, I imagine it was quite cathartic, just kind of like almost a release, sharing the stories.
Yeah.
People relating to, giving you similar experiences, and that's the community side, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then, the more, because I stayed very consistent, I spent a lot of time on LinkedIn as well, just, as I said, talking to people and commenting and building those relationships without expecting anything back, just kind of making friends, right? I saw that things slowly started picking up. Just the content that I was posting was getting, you know, about a month in, it was probably 30, 40 likes. Then 2 months in 3 months in, and was getting around the 100 likes mark, and then just kind of started growing and growing and growing.
Were you changing anything at the time, or it was just kind of as you were there more regularly, it was the consistency that
Just
paid
the
off there, you think?
consistency. I'm not much of a strategy person. Like, I don't have a content strategy or content pillars or any of that. I just post what comes to mind.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, oh, I've listened to a podcast and, you know, something like clicked or something resonated with me, and I'll talk about that
Nice.
in the
Yeah.
post on that day. So
As we just say, is that still how you publish and post now? The same
Pretty
way
much,
something
yeah.
comes to mind? Yeah, good.
yeah, pretty much. And yeah, obviously with how, and then the content started getting more engagement, and with that, leads started coming in, and I started converting, and then the more you started converting, the more referrals you were getting. Like now, I think probably about 70% of my work is referrals.
Nice. Okay.
From the last 2 years from the clients that I've built up.
So before we move on to like those next steps, then a lot of people go through what you mentioned, right? It's whether it's imposter syndrome or blockers or anything like that. For anyone listening, what's your recommended steps or thoughts for getting past that? And I'm sure you still face it sometimes day to day, but for those periods when you want to make big moves,
just do it.
Yeah,
you just got to get over yourself. For me, it was just because I already had some proof that I'm not amazing. I'm not the best designer in the world, right? But I knew that I can do a decent job because I've already been doing it as a full-time job for a company for many years. And I started to get clients and that kind of, because I tested the waters, right? That's why I kept my full-time job while also trying to freelance, was because if this is not going to work, if I can't drum up any work in the next year, obviously I'm not good, like this is not the right route to take. So I tested the waters, it started working, and I was like, you know what? I'll just jump in, see what happens. If it doesn't grow and if I can't sustain myself, I can always go back to a full-time job. Yeah. So that was my kind of thing. I was like, it's just a job. It's not my business that I'm leaving. It's just another job. I can always get another office job somewhere else. So if it doesn't work.
How does the idea of that sound to you now? How does going back to a full-time office job sound in your head?
It fills me with dread.
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine.
I don't think it's only been, it's going to be two years exactly, 1st of September, when I've been fully freelance out on my own.
2-year anniversary when it gets there.
Thank you. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I'm employable anymore because I'm just so used to doing things on my own time scale. Like if I get a very difficult client who stresses me out, I just get rid of them. I'm like, you're causing me too much anxiety and too much stress. The money that you're paying me is not worth it. Like I'll refund you. I just don't want to work with you.
Yeah. Nice position to be in though, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to go freelance as well, was because I want to have that freedom to choose who I work with, when I work with, choose my own working hours. If I want to take a week off, I can take a week off, or a month even, off if I need to. I don't have to ask anyone for permission or, make sure that when I'm taking the time off, it doesn't fall in with some sort of thing in the office that I need to be in for and things like that. So
permission to go to the toilet, permission to go to a doctor's appointment.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yes. Or dentist or what, like all that stuff. I don't think I could go back to having to ask someone else to do anything with my life. So I just, something very bad would have to happen and drastic for me to consider to go back to full-time employment. It's just not something I want to do.
Yeah, no, I do understand. So those hours, being able to pick your own time and your own schedule, became even more important when you gave yourself round about 10, 12 hour time difference between you and most of your clients? Yes. Because your next step after that lease in London ran out, you got the hell out of here, didn't you? Yeah,
I flew to Asia for 2 years. Yeah, it was...
We didn't mention, this is a very rare case of Jane being back in the UK that we've managed to nail you down for this podcast episode.
Yeah, this is, first time in a year since I've been I've been back, in the longest period I've been back in 2 years. So
Yeah.
I took off. I spent about a month. I went home to Latvia for a bit. Then I went to Spain for a bit, and then I jumped on a plane and flew out to Asia. Spent a bit of time in Bali.
Did you know you were going to be gone for 2 years at that point?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, you knew. You were
Yeah.
okay.
So I went out there. I spent some time in Bali. Then I spent some time in Thailand, and then I came back here for about a month because I need to renew my passport because I didn't time that properly. And I didn't trust to try to send my passport off from Asia for it to come here and then go back to Asia in time for me to not get in trouble with the visas and all that. So I flew back out here, renewed my passport, and then went back out to Thailand, rented myself an apartment for a year, and spent a year in Thailand and Asia. I'm traveling Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, Taiwan, and a few other places.
Has there been parts where you've resented the work with that such a high appeal of the freedom aspect? Has been points you've taken on jobs, like even if the customer is sound and a nice person, but you've been sitting doing work and you've been like, why did I take this job on? I didn't need it. Has it ever done that, or have you got the balance down to a fine tea now? Do you know what to take on to get the amount you want?
It depends. Mostly I have it down, but there's always a job or a client that like sneaks through the cracks and you don't really pick up on the red flags, or you kind of might pick up on them and go, oh no, it's gonna be fine, and then it never is.
Well, so everyone finds you through LinkedIn. What is your process of figuring out if someone's going to be a dickhead or not? I know you can tell in initial conversations, but is there anything you can do before that?
So I don't really do calls. So the only time I do calls if it's branding projects or big projects that have like a lot of moving parts, and we kind of need to figure out like, okay, what do you actually want and where do you want to go from? Because I do a lot of like LinkedIn graphics and like banners and carousels and all that sort of stuff.
Do you still enjoy that stuff? Because that's becoming your bread and butter.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just so easy. It's such easy money because I probably do 15, 20 banners a week.
Yeah. I guess going back to what you said about the recruitment stuff, you still loved taking something from nothing to something. And sadly, just the way the human brain works is over time of doing things, novelty can wear off. Do you still get that wee dopamine hit from when you've taken something to nothing, or you've really refreshed somebody's page when it was a piece of crap?
Yeah, so I definitely do. Not with every client, because now I'm kind of at a stage where it depends on the branding and the visual sort of direction we're going in, or what we're doing with the graphics. Doesn't matter if it's a LinkedIn banner or a slide deck or a proposal or whatever it might be. It now very much depends on branding, because sometimes some projects are super fun to work with because they have really cool branding. Like again, Leah Turner, she's a good example. You know, she's rebranded her Holt community and everything, and she has really, really cool branding. And I love working with that branding because it's super fun. It's easy because it all just works.
And I imagine Leah gives you a lot of control over the design.
Yeah. She's like
more freedom.
She's like one of the easiest clients ever. She's just like, whatever you're gonna do is great because you can do it better than I can.
I mean, why hire somebody if you're not going to trust them to do their thing?
Exactly. So she's fantastic. But so working with that sort of thing, I get loads of dopamine from it, and I get really excited. It's like, oh my God, this is such cool branding. This is going to be really fun to work with. But then sometimes you have someone who comes to you has really awful branding, like the fonts don't work, the colors are bad, like everything is just meh.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I do the job, but it doesn't bring me any joy because it's almost painful because it takes longer, and even the stuff that you do pull together, it's still, you do your best, but there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, or they're like,
shit branding, you know? It's like putting glitter on a turd.
What's the joke as well is like, oh, can you not make it pop a bit more? And it's like, not with the guidelines you've given me.
Yeah, no, there's nothing going to be popping with that.
No. So it's funny, you said something earlier. You were like, I'm not the best designer out there. Whereas people still come to you and they trust you and they see
Yeah.
your work. So what do you think it is about yourself that draws people in?
I think a lot of it is probably my personality and my personal brand and how I put myself out there. So I have a lot of people who literally they see my post, they follow me, and then let's say 2-3 months later they'll message me and go, okay, I want you to do my branding. You know, I started following you 3 months ago because I saw you did this post about depression, for example. I've had quite a few therapists and fitness people come to me because I've spoken about those things. So they're like, okay, this person gets it. So I want this person, she's been through these things herself. She gets how mental health works, how fitness works. I want this person to do my branding. So they connect to me in that sort of way, which is great. But also, like, I'm not bad at what I do.
No, of course not. No,
you know, I just know that, like, I can't say I'm the best designer out there because I know there are thousands of designers who are way better than me, and there's also thousands of designers who are way worse than me. So it's just, you know,
I do. Jane has done my banner, just to clarify. So
I have, yeah. I'm still waiting for you to get back to me
I
on
knew. I was wondering if that was good.
cover.
If I showed you my email inbox as well, it is the oldest that is still in there for something I need to get back to. But it is because I need to sort out my podcast stuff, and I do need to sort out the business branding and everything. So
yes,
it is wow, done on my own things. Yeah, I picked my logo from Fiverr probably like 4 years, because the podcast was before the business.
Right.
So before I found you, before I discovered Jane.
Yes, it shows.
So it was like a Fiverr for just getting beaten up here emotionally. It's because it's the things I know, but hearing it from an outside source still hurts. But so when it comes to the branding projects, what are the ones that excite you the most right now? Because you mentioned there's guidelines, there's banners, there's LinkedIn profiles, and
Yeah.
I could be wrong, and I don't want to pigeonhole, but in my head, like, your LinkedIn branding, and I know you are so much more than that. But that's one of the problems with messaging on LinkedIn, right? That's where the audience for that is. So how do you introduce the other things you do and that excite you? You know, more than just a banner. What's the upsells or the more interesting projects?
So I do enjoy, like, actual branding, so visual branding, logos, you know, bringing together color palettes and kind of bringing together the whole visual identity. Because I do things that are just LinkedIn focused. So I have for example, I have packages that are just LinkedIn branding. So that will include, like, the banner and a carousel and, you know, bringing together the colors and fonts and kind of that visual identity specifically for LinkedIn and people's personal brands. And then I also do actual visual branding that includes logo for businesses, and so it's usually bigger projects.
Yeah.
So I do enjoy those, but again, it depends on the project and depends what direction the people want to go in, what they want to get out of it, all that sort of stuff. Because sometimes I work on branding and I'm like, oh, this is hard work.
Yeah.
Like, this is what the people kind of want to put out there. It's like I'm trying to pull it together and it's just really, really hard work. And then sometimes it's like super easy, super fun because they want to maybe a style that more aligns with what I like and the direction I would go in and things like that. So it just depends on every project that I work on. Doesn't matter if it's visual branding, if it's a slide deck, LinkedIn banner, it all depends on the branding and where we're going with it and where we're taking it. And that kind of depends, either I like it or not.
With that, Jane, and again, this isn't my thoughts, but I'm just going to say this to trigger you so that you can, all those years of pent up rage that you've had to push back. How important is branding? Isn't it just fonts and colors?
God, I knew you were going to say that.
I told you I didn't think it though, but I'm sure you've heard it many times over the years with corporate. So please tell the power of branding.
So visual branding is very, very important. It's very, very powerful. We as humans, we process images and visuals, I think, like 60,000 times faster than we do text. And most of visual, like, first impressions are, over 90% of first impressions are based on visuals. And they are more important. Good visuals are more important than, for example, for a website. A good visually looking website is more important than the copy or the functionality of the website. So if someone lands on a website, you could be selling the best product or the best service ever. If you have shit web design that looks like it was done 20 years ago, people are gone. You lost them.
Yeah.
Some people will probably still come through, but you lose a lot of business because people associate, you know, the quality of the product and the service based on how your visuals look. So your website, the graphics that you put out, the banner you have on LinkedIn, the way your Instagram looks like, the type of photos you use on your website, on your graphics and things like that, it all matters massively because that's the first thing we focus on and the first thing we see, and then everything else comes after.
I've been saying a lot recently, perception is huge, whether people want to admit to it or not. A lot of bad actors who are, you know, a lot of fugazi, a lot of like fake numbers and stuff.
Yeah.
They're very good at creating a fake high value perception.
Yeah.
To almost the point I think we've reached where the good people think perception is a bad thing because it's fake, because you've got people manipulating it. So you've got these good people who don't think about perception because they're like, oh, it's being manipulated. But they're missing out. The good people should worry about their perception as well, because then you've got the best of both worlds.
Yeah, absolutely. You just need to be true to yourself and not get pulled into fakery and the pods and all that shit that's going on LinkedIn and really any social media platform. It's not just LinkedIn. It's just, for me, that's the main channel I use. So I'm like
it daily.
Yeah, I see it daily, and I'm like, I've been very disappointed and very let down by a lot of people in the last 12 months. So, but yeah, perception is important. You know, just look, for example, Apple. They are probably the best at what they do. Do they have the best phones? Probably not. Do they present them in a way that makes you feel like you're buying the best thing ever? Yes, they do. Like every single detail. If you, for example, when you buy the iPhone phone, the box, the sound it makes, the feel, the glide, the stick, every single thing has been thought out and designed to give you that special first impression, that experience. And same goes with their websites and their graphics and their marketing and everything. And they wouldn't be where they are today if they didn't think about, you know, the way the phones look, the way they present things, the way the box looks and feels and all of that. And that's where the first impressions and perceptions come in. It's so important that, and a lot of people don't realize that most decisions are based on visual, and the better your graphics and the better your website and the better photos you use, the more it might not be true, but if you do have all that in place, your trust factor goes up. The better your graphics, the better your website, the better your visuals,
the better your high quality videos.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. All of that. When we look at it, we go, okay, this looks really slick. This looks really professionally done. Ooh, I trust this. This looks like high quality. This looks like they're good at what they do. Yeah. And that's just how our brains work. That's how we, you know, perceive things. And some people might not like it, don't want to agree with it, but it's just how it is. No,
listen, I agree. It is crazy how people still undervalue it massively, because I guess they don't realize the impact it has in their subconscious, right? Is it called like there's series 1 and series 2 thinking? I can't remember which is the one for those branding experiences impact you more than you think. Because I tell myself the lie. I'm like, oh, I just buy Apple products because I've got my Mac, my phone, and I like it's so easy to airdrop the video files. You can just remove it. So
the
easy.
airdrop is great though.
Totally. But that's me definitely lying to myself. It's I've definitely bought into the branding, the product, the sleekness,
absolutely.
Ease of use, all these different things.
I'm like, and because also they portray like specific values and kind of, you know, you're a bit of a rebel if you kind of, you know, you go for Apple, you're like the creative, and there's all these kind of different personas that you associate yourself with if you are an Apple person. Like, you wouldn't catch me dead with anything else.
Yeah. The impact AI's having on branding, because I've seen like big companies using it in TV ads. How is that working out in the branding space?
Oh, I love AI.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I think it's great. I know there's a lot of people who are crying about it and saying, "Oh, it's going to destroy our jobs and blah blah blah." But you know, the same happened 100 a bit years ago. You know, when machines became a thing. You
Yeah.
know, people got replaced and people adapted and found new ways how to use. You know, if you used to do packing and then the machine started doing the packing, you know, you learn how to fix the machine or whatever it is.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you learn and adapt and learn a new way how to use the new tools. And I think that's the same thing with AI. It's made my job so much easier.
In what ways?
Even just silly things like, I don't know, expanding a photo. For example, sometimes people send me a photo that they want me to remove a background from, but they'll have their shoulders cut off. So imagine removing a background and not having shoulders and that being placed on a graphic. That will look really weird, right?
Yeah.
And with AI, I put that in Photoshop and I can just expand that and it takes 30 seconds and it just adds the shoulder or the arms
Nice.
or
okay.
the missing part of the body that I need. And if without AI, that would probably be hours of work trying to figure out how to, like, you know, recreate that body part. And now it takes 30 seconds.
Yeah.
You know, things like maybe changing clothes or color or fixing hair or whatever it might be, just small things like that used to take hours to do now take absolute seconds with really good results.
So for brand designers, you're basically telling them not to be scared of the tools,
Yeah.
but just utilize them into your workflows.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Even things like Midjourney, it's fantastic because you can create whatever image you need. Sometimes I'm like, if I can't find a stock image for a specific purpose, I could just go into Midjourney and type in what I need and we'll create exactly what I need for exactly the purpose. And it takes a couple of minutes. So yeah, people just need to, I think, embrace AI, and yeah, it will change the way we work. And some people will probably become redundant, but those are the bottom level, you know, copywriters, bottom level designers, whatever other creatives are there. Yeah, they will probably become extinct unless they adapt. But everyone else, I think, will be fine. They just need to embrace the tools and change the way they work and change their workflow. Because I can do much more with the AI tools now than I used to before, because it takes minutes instead of hours to do something.
So with that, looking into the future, you said you don't want to grow the business. Do you just want to keep things as they are right now? And at what point do you think that hits a plateau, whether from what you want from life or the work that you're getting to do?
Yeah, so for now, I think I want to keep it as it is. Just obviously the longer I'm doing it, I'm increasing my prices, I'm changing my packages, I like bring in new services, things like that. So I am kind of growing it and expanding it. But yeah, I have no plans to sort of build an actual business or anything like that. I just kind of want to keep it one man or one woman band.
Yeah.
And just do my thing. And the longer I do, the longer I do it, the more selective I can be with the projects I do. I don't really have a niche right now because I don't believe in niches, at least not for me. Like, niches work for certain businesses.
Sure,
for me as a
yeah.
designer, like, I don't want to box myself into a single thing, because realistically, I've only been doing it for 2 years as a freelancer. So it's not really that long. So I'm still kind of trying to figure out what it is that I like. So I might niche at some point and become more strict with what kind of projects and work I work on. But right now, I'm just happy doing what I'm doing, really.
Nice. So Jane, just one last question for you then. I guess there's been a lot of change for you in the last 2 years. So you mentioned, there was periods where you were suffering from depression and going through bad mental health spaces. I imagine things are probably more positive now just because of the being away and things in work. I know that doesn't cure all things, but it's just a more positive state of being.
Absolutely.
If you could go back in time and speak to your 10-year-old self, what would you say to them, whether it's words of wisdom or just some advice.
There's a lot of things I would say to my 10-year-old.
Feel free to list them off. Not in a telling off way, obviously in a supportive, morale boosting way. Yeah.
One, don't start smoking when you were 13. Not a good idea. I would probably tell my 10-year-old self to go on antidepressants way sooner than I did.
Okay.
Because I'm clinically depressed. I've been depressed my whole life. It's just because of the background that I come from. I'm originally from Latvia, so it's mental health is not really a talked about subject there. Even it definitely wasn't when I was growing up and was a teenager and becoming a young adult, and it only kind of is spoken about now, and still it's very like
taboo-ish.
Very taboo, and you kind of need to look out for a certain doctor that won't treat you like a nutcase.
Right.
And will actually listen to you and try to help you, kind of thing. It's not like here where you can go to a GP and say, listen, this is what I'm dealing with, I need help, and they'll go, okay, ask you some questions and, you know, give you the help that you need. It's not, and not judge you and not treat you like you need to see a loony bin doctor. So I would definitely tell my 10-year self to sort that stuff out, because most of my 20s were really, really hard because I was battling with depression and not realizing I was battling with depression, and it was kind of like constantly in a dark place and not really understanding it. Kind of at the same time being ashamed of the fact that I was feeling this way, but not understanding why I was feeling this way and thinking there's something wrong with me. So it affected a lot of decisions that I made, the way I behaved, the kind of person I was. So yeah, like when I got on antidepressants back in 2017, that was probably like the biggest turning point in my life, where things finally started looking up, and I started changing my habits and stopped drinking and quit smoking and went back to exercise and kind of started actually building a life for myself, and kind of, just personal growth and development and all that came into my life. And before that, it was just kind of dark.
So there's like two good points in there. One is don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And also make healthy life decisions. If you're drinking and you're not in a good place, don't keep drinking. If exercise. Yeah,
exactly. So and don't listen to people who tell you that you shouldn't do something, or that you're not good enough, or any of those things, because there's always naysayers, right, that want to put you down.
Block out the haters, the naysayers, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, just don't listen to any of them, and do your thing.
Great note to end on. Jane, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me. This has been fun. Can't wait to see this go live.
On video.
Yes, on video. I know.
Thank you again.
Thanks for having me.